living fiend.
Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is me, the Horror Mizamani G. Yes, as I continue along with the 31 Days of Horror, it is time for me to go on to episode 3 of my series of horror films from the 70s. This time we're going to take on the Blaxploitation film Blacula. Now, Blacula was a 1972 American blaxploitation horror film that was directed by William Crane. It stars William Marshall in the title role of an 18th century American prince named, I think it's pronounced Marble Wave, who is turned into a vampire by Count Dracula in Transylvania in the year 1870 after Dracula refused to help him suppress the trade slave. Now, the film also stars Denise Nichols and Voyetta McGee and Gordon Preston. You know, when I first heard about Blacula, I cracked up laughing because I knew it was a parody about obviously Count Dracula. Now, of course, at the time, I might have been maybe 10 or 11 years old when I heard about Blacula first came out. Now, this is one of the rare films that I did not see in the theaters at the time, but I eventually did go see Blacula. I don't know if I actually saw it on beta or VHS. I know I saw it. I just don't remember if I went to the theater to go see it. But I did go see it, and it was an interesting take on Count Dracula, obviously for African American. It stars an all African American cast. Now, the director, William Kane, he was an American film and television director. He was one of the first black filmmakers from a major film school to achieve some commercial success. Just to give you some background on William Crane, he was born in Columbus, Ohio. He was a graduate of UCLA School Film. And unlike so many of the so called LA Rebellion filmmakers who made films deeply for personal or political nature, make work consistent almost entirely on mainstream and genre-driven works. Now, he eventually, in 1972, he went on ahead and made Dracula, while it was largely ignored by the critics. The film has become a cult classic, and it made a name for actor William Marshall, who played the title role of the character. He did return to other TV installments, which continues on these days. Now, obviously, when we hear the word blaxploitation, we know that it's something about stereotypical films, basically showing African American actors or actresses in some stereotypical roles. I know, obviously, some blaxploitation films got very popular. Obviously, we have uh, John Shaft and some of the action films that starred Fred Williamson and Richard Roundtree. I think there's Let's Do It Again, that's Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby, and some other blaxploitation films. But there were a lot of actually horror blaxploitation films. Yeah, obviously, you had Abby, which was a riff on The Exorcist. You had another blaxploitation film called Doctor Black and Doctor Black and Mr. White, which was a play on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You had JD's Revenge. There's a whole bunch of blaxploitation films, and yes, there was a Blankenstein horror film. Yes, I actually talked about this when Knight and Gory, we were on Gory's channel, and we actually talked about Afro American and horror films, and I brought this up when it came to blaxploitation horror films, and of course, yeah, then we got a good laugh about Blankenstein. Yes, there is a horror movie called Blankenstein. I don't know if you can find it, but if you do, you probably got a good laugh. I only seen it one time, and it's a very low budget film, but it's still funny. Now, obviously, Blacula tells the tale about an African prince. He is going to Count Dracula's castle to see if he can make some type of a deal. Into the West, he wanted to suppress the slave trade there. Obviously, Dracula said, "No, I benefit from it, so it ain't happening." He makes a pass to his wife, and of course, the prince ain't having it, but he didn't know that Dracula was a vampire. So he bites him and dares him to call him Blacula, the living fiend. And he locks him up in a coffin. And this happened in 1890. And then right around, I guess, the early 70s is when these those gay couple buy the coffin, I think 200 years later, if I got my math right. And eventually, of course, they wake Blacula up and he bites them. Now, of course, Blacula, Sorry about that. Blacula runs into a woman who he thinks is his bride reincarnated into another woman, so he goes after her, and that's basically what the rest of the film does, is his pursuit of her. The sister of the so-called reincarnated woman, her boyfriend learns that Blackley is a vampire, and he goes after him, and that's basically what the film is about. Now, you would think that this would be a comedy, but they all took this seriously when they made this film. They weren't trying to make anything fun or funny about Dracula. They actually took it seriously, but there is a lot of stereotypical roles that you see in this film when it comes to African Americans, because they wanted to play to an African American audience. They felt as though this would be a lot of people would be satisfied by seeing something other than what we've seen before. And to be honest, I actually did enjoy it. It does, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of people might be offended at some of the rules that we have in here, but the fact that, one, they actually had a gay couple in this film, and this was done in the 70's. You know how much people had no interest in any gay couple at all in this film. So you got to give them credit for doing something even more than just putting a bunch of black people in this film. There's a lot of blood. There's some gore. Obviously, use a lot of practical effects. I like the transition that Blake William Marshall goes through when he's in his normal role as the African prince, and they actually changed him to Blacula. He has his extra hair on his face when he becomes black, and then of course his fangs are very extruded. So I like how they do that, and of course William Marshall does a pretty good job in portraying Blacula. I thought he did a pretty good job. Obviously, we know the sequel that comes with Scream, Blacula Scream. I might talk about that later on, but I really enjoyed his role and his performance as Blacula. I think Blacula is now playing on Amazon Prime. So you have Amazon Prime. You should be able to see it. It could be able to view it on any other platforms. It's ready available anywhere. I don't know if it's playing here on YouTube right now. I would love to see them actually do a remake of this film. I'm pretty sure a lot of people compare this to Vampire in Brooklyn, because there are some elements of Blacula in that particular film. But as far as that is concerned, I really was not a fan of Vampire in Brooklyn. I thought Eddie Murphy, he was okay in the film, but I thought they tried to make a funnier version of it, but it really wasn't funny to me at all. But yeah. So if you actually want to see a decent vampire film, yes, check out Blacula. I really did enjoy it. So there you have it, guys. That is my review of the day. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, like, and share, because it really does help out with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I see you in my next video. I'm out.